In a world of utility side-by-sides that can cost $30,000, $40,000, and $60,000, what kind of options do we have to save some cash and still get the job done? This is the Cub Cadet Challenger MX 750 EPS, and this is my review. You're going to be seeing me wear these glasses in this review. Turns out you can get poison ivy in your eyes. I have lots of it, but this is next level, so I'm going to keep the glasses on for your sake. One of the things that, oh, there's so many bugs around the camera. Oh no, what is happening? Oh God, we're going to get through this together. Dude, all you're going to see is bugs. Okay, we're going to try and move this. I want to start this video by thanking Rideau Lakes Powersports for getting me this unit. It allowed me to not only use it here on the property, but take it out on the trails. They were very kind to let me use this unit for almost a month now, and that allows me to get a really good review to you guys. So again, thank you, Rideau Lakes Powersports. You're going to find all of their information in the description down below. There is a big difference between performance, bells and whistles, and getting the job done. We're looking at costs here in Canada as high as $60,000 or more for something like a Polaris Expedition or a Ranger 1500, and as low as $18,000, which is what we have here beside me. The Challenger MX 750 is kind of the perfect option for somebody who's just looking to get the job done, and it has more than you think it would. There are cheaper MSRPs out there with the big brands like Polaris and Can-Am, as low as $16,200 to about $16,600. That's before everything at the dealer and taxes and so on. But the difference is, at $18,000, this is already going to have a bumper, winch, doors, upgraded shocks, front windshield, roof, front and rear locking diffs, you name it. There's a plethora of features that this will have that those won't. This also has a signal kit and horn, with the mirrors and a few other options. This gets you really close to those road legal areas. So if you're in Canada and the States, there's plenty of areas that you're allowed to be on the road. And some places and municipalities, provinces will require most of those things in order to be on the road. Plenty of brands don't actually manufacture their own machines. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but I find it is a fact that is typically glanced over, especially by reviewers here on YouTube. This machine is manufactured by Hisun. It is loosely based on a Hisun sector. If you remove these plastics, you're going to see a lot, if not all, of the same parts. There are some pros to that. We already know that the Hisun sector is a proven platform. We already know that there's parts being made. The assembly line is already dialed in. So we know that we have access to everything that we need on this machine because it's already existed before. The perk is, you know, you can get it in this cool yellow that Cub Cadet is famous for. You can also get it in a camo. They do have a black option online, but for whatever reason, I can't find if that actually exists or not. Something to look into. So before we get into my pros and cons and the actual review portion of this, I want to reiterate that this, as you see it, is how you get it. MSRP currently is $17,999. And that is in Canadian pesos, just so you understand. If you're watching this video 6 years from now, that number is going to change, so don't hold me to it. But as of posting this video, that is the case. On the front, you are going to see a bumper with the winch plate and 3,500-pound winch. It has a steel wire rope and some basics accessories. Obviously, it's going to be wired in with a relay and everything else. So not only are you getting some of these accessories, but you don't have to pay for install or do it yourself. It's going to come ready to go. On all four corners, you're going to see nitrogen piggyback shocks. They are adjustable on all four corners. You're also going to see a unsquare 26-inch tire setup. Front and rear, what that means, unsquare, is you have a 9-inch wide front and an 11-inch wide rear. When it comes to the cab, you are most of the way there and the rest is available. So you're going to see that it is ready for an upper door, which is orderable. It already has the front glass, rear glass is available. You can get heat, there is no current AC option. In the back, you're gonna have a full dump box. It is hydro assisted, mechanical, so there's no way to actually lift this from the inside, but it does give you full access to that 735cc single overhead cam monopiston. It's pretty strong, actually. You're also going to have a 500-pound bed capacity and a 1,200-pound towing capacity. That's something to understand. Pretty typical in its range, so nothing surprising there. Glad to have it. And if that wasn't enough, most manufacturers will include a 6-month warranty. This actually comes with a 2-year limited warranty. So this is where we actually get into my review portion, pros and cons. I'm going to start with two very big pros, and the reason for it is I think those are the important walk-away facts. Number one, And that's what we've already been touching on, is that cost. When you break down the labor to install these accessories, what it comes with, and everything else, when you compare it to its competition, this is a very cost-effective unit that'll get the job done. I'm fully aware that it's missing a lot of bells and whistles, but that actually brings me to my second point. It is very simple and very mechanical. A lot of people will complain that all these new features just add a headache when it comes to troubleshooting and repairing and cost. So this vehicle wipes the board with all of that. There's no funny touch screens and all of this stuff, which can be great if that's what you're looking for, but without it, you have a very simple machine when it comes to maintaining and repairing. My next pro is something that we've already touched on. It's the fact that it's feature complete. You buy it once and it's done. For a lot of people, that's exactly what they're looking for, and at this price range, it's hard to compete with. Front and rear diff lock, obviously with four-wheel drive, power steering, signal kit, mirrors, most of your cab's already there, your winch. There's nothing else that you could need for around the property or for some trail riding, so that's why I think it's a big plus in my books. What I love about this machine and the next pro is that it's so versatile around the property. Just like most utility side-by-sides with the dump box and its capabilities and its ease of access with the upright seating and stuff like that, you can get work done around the property, and that's exactly what I've been doing with it, because I knew that that's at least 60% of the use case for this vehicle. It's also so close to being ready for that plow and full cab. It wouldn't take much to put some upper doors and rear glass, which are available for the unit, and a little bit of heat, slap a plow on the front of this, and you've got a great winter rig as well. So between all of that and its ability to go out there and pull that deer out of the bush, maybe pull a log out of the bush, do some basic trail riding, that kind of stuff, this is a very versatile machine for its price point. My next big pro on my list is this comes with a 2-year warranty, whereas most manufacturers at this price point will offer a 6-month warranty. Of course, that can change depending on when you buy a machine, if you have a leftover or a red tent event, but all year round, this machine is offered with a 2-year warranty. So the last pro on my list is it's really nice to see premium options on an economical budget. One of the examples of that are the piggyback shocks. There's a ton of adjustability there, even though there isn't a ton of travel to adjust for. It's really nice to see. Some of the thoughtfulness in the body design and the way they added storage where they could over the Hisun Sector version, and also the mean look with the LEDs and stuff like that. Those are the things that I like to see. There was a lot of thoughtfulness in Cub Cadet's redesign of the plastics over the Hisun Sector. It is now time for the con list, and there are some. There always will be. I would be blown away if I ever review a vehicle and there were no cons. It's just not going to happen. I try to review vehicles based on what an owner would look for, a buyer would look for, the user experience, as opposed to the review side, business side of YouTube that you'll see out there. I only agree to these reviews if I can be as honest as possible, and Cub Cadet, Hisun, and especially Rideau Lakes Powersports were incredible about that. That's all they want from me, is to be honest and to give my experience to you guys. So take that with a grain of salt, however you will. My first con on the list is actually brakes. They work, don't get me wrong, you're not going to have a safety issue. The front brakes are disc brakes, very standard, they work awesome. Where I think the issue lies is either in this rear driveline brake or the cylinder up front being spongy. I even tried to bleed them again just to see what it might be, in case it was a PDI issue or something like that. Wasn't the case. So I can't tell which component it is, but my guess is it's either the front cylinder or the rear driveline brake that's a little spongy. I don't know if that's every machine or if it's this particular demo unit, but that's something that I'm going to put on the list. So a lot of the cons are right here in the cab. So first, you'll notice that it has tilt steering, which is not a con, that's a pro. But they go as far as to make that tilt steering, but there's no seat adjustment whatsoever. So I'm 5'9", and I kind of land perfectly position-wise in this unit, so it's quite comfortable for me, but I've had people in here that are 5'4" and 6 foot, and that's where you start to see a bit of discrepancy in foot position and the way they fit in here. If you're any wider than me, you're going to find that you're going to be rubbing shoulders with the door. Now, that's kind of on purpose as a safety thing to keep you inside if this thing does ever roll over, so I get that. The next con is power steering. This does have power steering. It's a MX 750 EPS, but I find it to be a little lackluster and it doesn't seem to adjust. That last part I could be wrong on, but a lot of premium models out in the market, and I am comparing to a premium market, will have power steering that will reduce itself as you go faster. Because as you know, the faster you are, the easier it is to actually turn, and you don't want to have a ton of assist when that's going on. My actual issue with it is I find it to be lackluster is the only thing I can say. It lacks that like precision. You can still feel a lot of the translation through the machine. I'm aware that's a little nitpicky, especially at this price point, but I would like to see a bit smoother power steering. So I know one of my pros was serviceability and access in this machine, but there is a con to that as well. So my next con for this machine is that it's mid-mounted for the engine. That basically gives you a lot of access in some ways, but it also jams others in an inconvenient spot. Best example of that is the belt. The belt is actually underneath the seat, so what happens is you do have a lot of room when you tilt the bed and go to work at it, but that's only from one side and you need to access the other. So you end up lifting a seat and removing panels, and when you're working on that belt, let's say trail side, you now have to work on both sides. I've been in that scenario before and it is annoying. I always think that mid-mount engines are a con, but I know why they're done. Especially in this scenario where there's a driveline brake and some of the design choices that they made, it just made sense, but I don't like mid-mount engines. So this last part of the review isn't necessarily a pro or con. It's just going to be my user experience when using it around the property, trail riding, and kind of pushing its limits a little bit. What you can do is listen to that and make up your mind on what that means. Is it a pro or is it a con to you? So the first thing, and the reason why I'm covered in poison ivy, is I put this machine to work here on the property. I'm currently landscaping big chunks of this area, and I had tons of topsoil and I was removing poison ivy and sticks and logs and that kind of thing. So I use this machine for the better part of 2 weeks just for that. So it gave me a lot of use around the property here to kind of get a good idea for how it works. That single cylinder monopiston has plenty of torque and power to do all the jobs that I asked it to do. I pulled some weight with some logs and some firewood over in the back. I moved a bunch of debris and soil in the front. I definitely went a little bit over that 500-pound bed capacity, and it did the job perfectly fine. It never grunted or gave me any issues or even signs that it was having a hard time. It did exactly what it was asked to do. So take that for how you will. I had a great experience here around the property, and I think that's what most people are going to think of when they're buying this unit. If you need something to get around your 10, 20, 30, 50 acre property or more, if you have a hole in your fence and your cattle are getting out, that kind of thing, if you have a sawmill in the back and you just need to bring batteries or fuel or whatever back and forth, this is a great property unit at a very great price. That is my honest opinion, and that is what you should really walk away with on this unit. Now, there's another use case scenario for trail riders, and that could be the same people as the property owner who do want to get out on the trail. And so that's exactly what I did. I had this on the road over in Mexico. I had this on rail bed. I had it on regular trails. I took it through a couple light rock scenarios, that kind of thing, and it performed perfectly. I had zero issues. There's certainly scenarios where it lacked in power, but that's to be expected with a little monopiston like it is. But it did everything that I asked of it again, so I have no problems in that sense. I did hit a top speed of 83 kilometers an hour. If you have the wind at your back and you're going downhill, you will hit 84 and govern out, which is more speed than you'll ever need in Canada, but that's why I tested it in Mexico, and it went great. So getting there like a 0 to 60, I don't think we have time in this video there. It's not that fast or quick, but it's more than enough that you could ever need, and it'll get you through any regular trail out there. I don't suspect that it would do very well in a double black diamond or mud up the doors, but it's a great buggy to get around if you need to. So if you're trying to get around doing your landscaping and your work around the property and someone invites you out for a trail ride, you can very easily hop into this and do exactly that. It's going to suit your needs. There are some comfort issues that I found. Again, that's going back to the pro and con list. That lack of adjustability and stuff like that can be a bit of a negative. The downfall to utility machines is you are sitting upright, which is a big pro if you have a lot of gear and stuff and you're hopping in and out. It makes sense when you're hunting, all of that. But it does make for an awkward position when you're riding down the trail if you're going to go for a 200-kilometer ride. That's something you're going to run into in all utility machines. They're not exactly your most comfortable machines to go down the trail for a long day. The suspension actually did way better than I thought it was going to do. I think it's very apparent that they invested into some shocks and it actually worked out in their favor. These machines inherently also don't have a ton of travel, and travel is basically everything when it comes to comfort and handling rocks and obstacles and things like that. So because it doesn't have any, of course, you're going to run into a bit of a rough ride, but that suspension really took a dent out of that roughness and did a very, very good job. I'm pretty impressed, actually. I do find that the size of the machine did get me thrown around a little bit. When I was going down the rail bed, you can see that there was big scoop outs basically where everybody was riding, these big ruts. It would get kind of bossed around a little bit in there, and it didn't have either the power or the mass to kind of work its way through that sometimes, and I did get muscled around a little bit. And that's one of the examples where the power steering started to kind of give me an idea, show its true colors kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, the power steering works and it didn't fail or anything, but it didn't power through like I expected with other machines. That might be something that you'll have to experience on your own by trying one of these machines. Overall though, I went through several rides. I got out there, I showed it to other people. They all basically agreed with me and said the same things. And some of the things that we didn't agree on, I also put on this list because I think it's important to share a couple of opinions. That's why I got other people's opinions out on the trail. Overall, everyone's experience with the machine was good. It was very positive. So I think this is a great machine for the price point, and it's really hard to argue with. So I hope that gives you an idea of my experience with the machine. If you have any questions, absolutely leave them down below and I will answer them. If you have any specifics, what I'll do is I'll leave the link for Rideau Lakes Powersports in the description, and that'll allow you to go to them, contact them. And if you have any specifics, I think the experts over at Rideau Lakes Powersports are probably your best bet. But when it comes to riding experience and stuff like that, absolutely reach out and I will tell you everything that I know. But I can promise you that the most of it is pretty much in this video unless there's something I didn't think about. So that pretty much wraps up the video, guys. Big thank you again to Rideau Lakes Powersports. They're the ones that not only got us access to this machine, but other machines in the past like the MP9 and other Hisuns hopefully in the future. They're a great dealership, and I think that's also very important when you're thinking about buying a machine, is having a great dealer. So if you have access to a Rideau Lakes Powersports and a team like they have, the buying experience for a machine like this is even better. So I think that's very important to consider as well. If you want to reach out to them, in the description down below, you're going to find everything you need. Please make sure you reach out if you have any questions, especially specifics. I think they're the best to ask. They are the experts. So a big thank you to them again. Big thank you to Hisun Canada as well as Cub Cadet, of course. This is a demo unit and it is going back as soon as this video is done. So here it is, an option for under $20,000. It has everything that you could ever need to get the job done and a little bit more. I think that's great. Let me know what you guys think down below, and we'll see you guys next time.